Welcome to this episode of Hampton Roads Business Live. My name is Rory Graham and I'm your host, and today we have the pleasure of having with us a chef. It's Anthony Juliano, the owner of Rudy's Personal Chef Services. Welcome.
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you.
Why don't you start off by just giving us an overview. What is Rudy's Professional Chef Service? What else? Obviously you cook, but
Yeah.
What else?
So what I do, Rudy's Personal Chef Services, what I wanted to do was create something that appealed to many different type of classes. So the way I do it is I can cook you a 4-course meal, and I'll charge you that. If you want me to flip burgers for a picnic, I can charge you for that too. Mm-hmm. And I also
so you do everything.
So I do everything, and I also I had gotten my MBA from Strayer University. So I also enjoy doing cooking lessons as well.
Okay, all right. So we're going to get into some of that. Let's start off with what made you get into this industry.
My family had a restaurant, and it got pretty big. And actually, it was called The Castle, and it actually, in 1962 at the World's Fair, it was ranked one of the top 20 restaurants in all of America. And it ended up kind of not going to my grandmother and great aunt, went to the sons, and it fizzled out. It happens. But I mean, I always loved cooking. My mom taught me how to cook for that reason. And funny thing about that is because it was really stressful. Some of our family members passed away. When I told my mother and my grandmother I wanted to do that, they were a little hesitant at first. Oh. But especially the way I turned it into I'm allergic to gluten, so I focus on the healthier type thing. It kind of works out.
Okay, well that sounds that's an interesting thing. I noticed in your bio you have quite a bio.
Yes.
A lot of you've done a lot of things.
Yes, yeah. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to come down and work in Williamsburg for Chef David Everett. He's a co-owner of Blue Talon Bistro on the Trellis. He and his chef de cuisine Scott Hoyland are two of the best chefs I've ever worked for in my entire life.
And what do you? I mean, you mentioned a number of things. What do you love to do most, though?
The one thing that I love about having the personal chef business is I love the interaction. I love cutting out the middleman, if you want to call it the owner or the general manager or whatever. I love cooking directly for the client, what they want, and have a direct interaction with them. And that's what I love most about what I do.
Okay, I've never actually hired a chef except one time, and I did that for a Christmas party that I was throwing, and I hired a guy who used to be a chef at Cisco Foods.
Ah, okay.
I figured he'd know what he's doing.
Yeah.
So anyway, you mentioned Williamsburg. Where else have you worked in Virginia?
I have also worked at the Cavalier Yacht and Golf Club. Oh. Okay. And I was finishing up my MBA there, and I also was a sous chef and executive chef at Fire Brew for a little bit of time. And then it was also while I was finishing my MBA, so that's why I ended up leaving and going to a lower position so I could finish my schooling.
So my next question here says, what other services do you offer? Now, you mentioned teaching,
yes.
Cooking classes.
Yes, cooking lessons, yep. So I just started doing cooking lessons, and the way I'm going to do them is I'm going to sit down with a client and they'll give me a cuisine of food that they want to do, and I'll develop a menu for that, and I'll go through systematically for the knife cuts and for the cooking techniques for that recipe, and teach them that way. And then the more lessons I get, I'm going to create a beginner and intermediate and experienced lessons.
Now, is this something where you go out onto their location when you're providing these services and you do the cooking there?
Yes.
Or do you do the cooking somewhere else and bring it?
Especially for, I can do a little bit of both, but especially for the weekly, someone that wants me to come in and do weekly prep, it's easier to do the food production there. I mean, I can do some things out of my kitchen, but especially if I have access to another kitchen, it's easier for that. And for the cooking lessons, I am going to I'm going to be doing like a quarterly type thing at probably a Total Wine. And then I'm also going to be working on doing interactive online lessons that I'm going to be working on getting set up.
Okay, so right now you do corporate events?
Yep, I can do corporate events, lunch and learns, open houses, stuff like that. Mainly, the one thing with me, being a personal chef, a one-time event is typically with me going to be a lot cheaper. I don't have as much overhead as catering companies. Now one thing they can do better, easier for me is reoccurring big parties like that. That's something that they can do at a little cheaper basis just because of their, like I said, their overhead. But like on a one-time basis, and even more so, I can do more. Like, for example, I put together a menu for a woman who owns a Pilates shop, and I'm going to be doing an open house. I'm going to be doing like an omelet station for her. There's no way that she would be able to afford a catering company doing that with all the overhead and all of what they would have to pay. So that's why I said I created this, because I wanted to.
So you're like a specialized answer to a problem that
yes,
they have.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That's the one thing. I have ADHD, and I worked in restaurants, but I prefer catering. I prefer the one-time events and the doing something different every time. I like that creating thing. A lot of the way I like to cook is just having a refrigerator stock full and a pantry stock full and just opening up and randomly throwing something together. Like, I love that. That's
You sound like my wife. I said, "What do you have?" And she says, "A concoction." I don't know what it is. Anyway, no, that sounds good. So you can basically handle from a large event to a
medium to small event.
Medium to small event, but it doesn't have to be something on a reocurring basis.
Yes.
It can be a one-off thing.
Yep, like holidays and special events type things.
Yeah, you do weddings.
I can do smaller type weddings if it's probably like 50 or smaller. I could handle that.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right. Is there anything that I haven't covered? Because I'm run out of my questions here.
Let's see. There was one. Let's see here.
How about the fact that you mentioned that you were you're allergic to gluten?
Oh yeah, that's right.
I know that had an impact on you.
Yeah. I'm allergic to gluten. My mother found out because she didn't want to put me on Ritalin when I was diagnosed with ADHD. So I mean, I used to weigh 320 pounds when I got out of college, and I began to go back to be really religious on the gluten-free, and I walked and became more active, and I was able to lose over 100 and something pounds. So I mean,
congratulations.
Thank you. So that's a real big thing that I do. The way I specialize in, that I can cook. Like I said, I do allergy type stuff. I'm very aware of that. But as I say that, bringing up Blue Talon again, I mean, when I worked there, I had to make a beurre blanc every single day. And I'm Italian, so I can make it Alfredo. I can make whatever you want, but if you want it to be geared towards healthier and gluten-free especially, or any type of allergy things, I can absolutely do that.
So you have experience with all that?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, all right. Anything else?
Trying to think there. Let's see.
Because we're going to have your contact information at the end of the video here.
Okay, yeah.
So all they have to do is give you a call, and then you can get with them on their event, and you give them a proposal for that, and okay.
Yeah, and then another thing, I do offer discounts to senior citizens. My mother, before she passed, she was taking care of my grandparents, and I helped take care of them when I went back and forth from college and whatnot. So I have an understanding of how difficult that can be. So I mean, I can easily, I can come in and do knockout in a couple hours, knock out a bunch of meals for the entire week.
So
that's
that'd
a part.
Be helpful.
Yeah, so that's a part of some of the packages I have. I could just come in, especially if it'll be a little bit cheaper if there's already food in there. I just come in and throw something together for them, and then I just come in, like I said, for a 3 or 4 hour period, and they have their meals for the rest of the week.
For the whole week.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, well, that's something to think about. Yeah. All right, so if you are looking for a chef for an event that you have, a meeting or some other special occasion, or you would just like someone to prepare a bunch of meals for you, and he can do it by dietary considerations, right?
Absolutely.
Like type 2 diabetes.
Yep, and my father has type 2 diabetes, and I have a cousin who has type 1, so I also have a great understanding of cooking sugar-free and diabetic.
I know how hard it is to figure out what you're going to have to eat.
Yeah.
Okay, so that might be a good idea to have some pre-prepared food and everything. You can give Chef Rudy a call, and his contact information is at the end of this video, and it's also on this page. I thank you very much for coming in, and you're the first chef we've had on.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So that might open up a whole new category. Who knows?
Hey, there you go.
Oh, but everybody's got to eat, right?
Right, exactly. Everyone's got to eat.
I wish you a great deal of success.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.